too.
All right. Well, we're back live. This is the Trampled Underfoot podcast, and your hosts are Mark Lindsay and Eloy Escajedo. And how's everybody doing? What's going on?
Oh man, just sitting here sweltering in the heat. It's 106 degrees and it's been hot all day and hoping it'll cool down soon. I know we're in September, but this is one of our hot times of the year, and I'm really looking forward to autumn.
Yeah,
It
there's
needs
a
to cool off.
thunderstorm brewing. So if I disappear anytime during the thing, it's that one of these lightning strikes blew a fuse somewhere.
Well, let's hope the live streaming gods are kind and you are able to continue for the duration. But if you got to bail, we know why. So,
Well, you'll if I got a bail, it's more like get kicked out.
well, yeah, that's what I mean. If for some reason you think no, it's time for me to shut everything down and hide under the bed, then that's cool. But if it's involuntary, we know where you went.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
There's been more lightning strikes closer
mhm.
with all the big buildings that have been coming up. At least it seems that way.
Mhm.
Before we did have, I mean, because
Sure.
we're my not Miami itself, but Florida has more lightning strikes per capita than I think at least the rest of the United States, if not. I don't know if about the world, but we have a lot of. In fact, I'll look it up just for the heck of it.
Well, but
Lightning capital of the United States.
but with the high
Tampa,
rise,
Florida is
Tampa
the
has got more. Okay.
yeah.
But with the high rises around you, that's actually kind of a good thing because they have lightning suppression built in. They know they're going to get hit by lightning because when you're the tallest thing around,
Yeah.
you know, they have lightning rods and everything is firmly grounded so that it's doesn't destroy something in the building.
Yeah. Um how close have you ever been to a lightning strike?
Um, a couple of 100 yards. When I was in the army, I was stationed at Fort Ord, California, and we had a thunderstorm come in. Now, Fort Ord is right on Monterey Bay. And being right there on the coast, you have storms come in all the time. And I was sitting in the back of a truck on one of the fold down seats. And all of a sudden, there was an explosion. And I mean, it didn't sound like the sound effects you hear on TV or anything like that. This was
Yeah.
a loud boom. And we saw it hit a tree down the block and across the road from us. So just a few 100 feet.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it wasn't, and it scared the holy heck out of all of us. And some poor woman getting out of her car and walking across the street. So she was across the street from it when it hit. And she did something that looked like it came out of a cartoon. I'm not kidding you. She come up about a foot off of the ground and her feet ran 3 times in space. Then she landed again and then took off towards the building she was running into. And it was one of those things, man. Yeah, it looked like a cartoon because she was walking and it hit. I mean, right behind her. Her back was to it, and she didn't know what the heck was going on. But she come up a good foot off of the ground, and her legs didn't stop moving. She was burning rubber before she hit the pavement. I'll put it to you that way.
That's hilarious as hell.
Yep. Okay, Steve Nealon over here says Baton Rouge, Louisiana has the most lightning strikes, but Florida has the most people hit by lightning. Uh-oh. Looks like we challenged the live streaming gods because Eloy has frozen up. We'll give him a couple of seconds. This is what happens when you go live. Inclement weather comes along and zappo. we'll see if he comes back, and if not. Okay, Linda says living in the SoCal mountains had a lightning strike about 50 to 60 feet from us. She was outside at the time. Yeah. Yeah, I've not been that close, but that was close enough. Yeah, and we lost Eloy. We'll see if he comes back. This is going to be interesting. Les says he had to restart because the echo was so bad. Do you have an echo going? Anybody else have an echo going? Is the audio okay? It's only me here. And we're waiting to see if Eloy comes back. We may have to postpone this, but we'll see. For those just joining us, Eloy was here. They had a thunderstorm come in, and he suddenly froze up and then just dropped off. So he might have lost power. He may have lost internet. He may have lost both. We don't know. Okay, I see no echo here. No echo here. It's funny. That was almost like an echo. Huh. Okay. Robin says, sounds good. Linda says, audio okay. All right. Okay. No, not a Toyota Echo. No, not at all. If Linda hears an echo, it's because she's sitting too close. Well, that's going to be, if Linda hears an echo, there's got to be something else because I'm behind a closed door and she's at the other end of the house from me. So okay, Les says once he restarted, it was fine. All right. You might have had it open in two windows. I don't know. I don't know. So we're just going to kind of chill and see if Eloy comes back. Don't really have anything to talk about. I'm going to give him, let's see, right now it is 6:38 p.m. here on the West Coast. I'll give him until 6:45, and if he's not back by then, because it depends on what happened. It may be his connection, it may be his power, it could be anything. But if he's not back by then, we'll go ahead and just end it and postpone it until another day. So now I got to fill, what's that, about another 7 minutes here. So what am I going to talk about? I keep telling you, Linda, don't pick your wool. It'll never heal. But she doesn't listen. So that's okay. Yeah. Okay. Robin says if he's not back, put Linda on. Well, Linda doesn't want to do this kind of thing. I've tried. She doesn't want to do it. So I know I keep talking her up, Robin. I keep talking about how she's a good cook and how she does this and she doesn't do that, or she does do that. But even she said, nope, Linda doesn't come on. But what can you say? All right, let's see. Well, I've only burned up 1 minute. Man, I got another 6 minutes to burn. Just talk about something. Give him a topic. Okay. The socioeconomic ramifications of the former Warsaw Pact nations changing over from totalitarianism to a free market economy. Shall we discuss, Robin? No? Steve says Linda needs to do more of her videos. I miss the learning. Yeah, she's probably the only person I know who has been busier than me. And it's just finding the time to shoot the video, edit it, and get it posted. And she just hasn't been into doing that. So, I think common sense screams How about how to get more views on your channel? Tips, go. Okay, you want to get more views on your channel? You have to promote it. You have to promote it and then promote it some more. Promote it everywhere. Get it on Twitter, get it on Instagram, get it on Facebook. Promote it off platform. That will help. You've got to get eyes on your videos. uh, Join groups that pertain to that topic. And if they allow it, promote your videos there. But also interact with those people, because folks are more likely to click a link that's posted by somebody who they consider a friend or somebody they know. Because people pop into groups, drop links, and leave and never come back until it's time to drop a link. They do that all the time. But if they see that this is somebody I know, or this is somebody that I'm, friends with, then they're more likely to click on that link. And then Steve's right. Make videos people want to see. It's having big subscriber numbers is great, but you want views more than you want subscribers. Subscribers are fine, but you want views. I have a lot of subscribers, but I don't get a huge number of views. And that is simply because of the content that I make. It's made for a very small portion of a very niche market. So I don't get a huge number of views. Just looking to see if that was Eloy messaging me. No, it was not. So you're going to find that it's almost all content driven. If it's something people are interested in, they'll watch it. If they're not really sure or they're not interested in it, they won't watch it. It just does, and it doesn't matter who's in it. I mean, people look at YouTube videos the same way they do a television show. If they don't like the show or they're not interested in the show, they're not going to watch it. So you have to kind of try to figure out what people want to see and then go from there. So I know it's hard to do, but yeah, it's a valid point, Les. There are videos I'm interested in, but they're so bad you can't watch. Yeah, I agree, but it's weird in that YouTube, people will forgive bad video, but they will never forgive bad audio. If you can't listen to it, if the audio is so quiet you can't hear the person, or there's a bunch of background noise, most folks will just click. So work on audio. And be honest with you, most people still use their phone. Most folks today, their phone is the best camera they own. And there are a lot of people making videos with their phones, and it's just fine. There he is.
Man, that took me. I was it well, what happened while it was gone?
Oh, well, Robin asked a question about YouTube videos, so I was talking about it. I was going to give you till a quarter till, so you came in with a minute to spare.
Well, I it I mean, we were talking about it
Mm-hmm.
because I know that there's always a possibility, but it was a weak lightning, and the whole thing went out in like a split second, right when we were, and
Mm-hmm.
it took my computer to re-up to the point of being, everything gets initiated, and then the internet wouldn't work, and I had to like go in, and it's just a whole nightmare, but I made it back.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well,
Well,
um,
did you think it was the lightning? Yeah, right.
yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't know if you lost power. I didn't know if your connection went or what. But I
It,
thought, I said, yeah, we kind of taunted the streaming gods, and they just let us reminded us that they were boss. So
it was a blink. It was
yeah.
a and it came back on, but it was just enough that it
Mhm.
dropped everything. And then all the internet and the whole thing. I just, dude, we live in 2022
Mhm.
and we can't have a consistent, regardless of catastrophes, a consistent pipeline to the outside or inside multiverse. Come on.
Okay, Greg says Eloy's back, but he's on the wrong side. Watch this, Greg. Watch this. Ooh,
There we
there
go.
you go.
I'm on the wrong side of history, baby.
Well, so let me ask you this about that. Where we've been on for 15 minutes, do you want to postpone until you got better weather and less risk of dropping out again? We can postpone until tomorrow after the storms pass.
Nah.
Nah, you want to just plug on through, plug on ahead?
Yeah, if it happens, okay, if it happens again,
Mm-hmm.
um, let's play it by ear. If it
Okay.
happens again, you wait whatever time you think while I'm rushing, not connected, trying to get.
Okay. Well, like I said, I was going to give you until a quarter till. So, and that was about what, about 8 minutes, 7, 8 minutes, something like that when you disappeared. So
That was
now,
pretty quick.
yeah, actually, that wasn't bad, but one could never tell.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that brings up a good topic. You're there being in South Florida. Have you ever suffered any major hurricane damage? Now, you've been in the same place for quite a while. Have you yourself suffered major hurricane damage?
Um, it major is relative.
Right. But I mean,
Um,
it's not lifted the roof off of your house, or you've not had a Porsche in your living room or anything like that.
no,
Right. Okay.
no,
Okay.
we've not had anything like that. But even with no, that would be worst case scenario. Even without the worst case scenario, it's still
Hmm.
um a nightmare because sometimes you go without power for weeks,
Hmm.
like it happened during Andrew.
Yeah.
Some of the homes back then that were hit in a specific area did
Yeah.
basically split open,
Yeah.
but they were poorly built. And we have all the hurricane, like, this is built with hurricane straps and all that stuff. So, I
Hmm.
mean, chances of it going are not that good that it
Yeah.
would. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember you mentioned Hurricane Andrew. I remember when Andrew came through. We were living in Savannah, Georgia at the time, and it was still miles offshore. They didn't know where it was going to go.
Mhm.
So they thought it was going to go towards Florida, but they were thinking it could go as far north as South Carolina. They weren't exactly sure. And we had never been through hurricane before. So we did like the locals did. We went and we bought, bread and bottled water and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
But then it made that shift and headed towards Homestead. And we were like, okay, we're out of the danger zone.
Yeah.
And then we were supposed to be going to Hawaii from Savannah. And we thought, because Andrew wasn't the first hurricane that had come along while we were living in Georgia. And we thought, well, good. We won't be in that hurricane threat anymore going to Hawaii. And it was either, I think it was just a few days after Hurricane Andrew went through, Hurricane Aniki went through Kauai in Hawaii. So it's like, no, you're not getting out of hurricane danger because, hey, look at this, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh boy.
Did you see me freeze up for a moment there, or was it you or
Yes.
me?
No, that was you just froze up for just a second. That's why I kept going
Okay. Okay.
and being eagle eyed to make sure that you came back and kept moving. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, the natural phenomenons are um the stuff that people fear the great. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were stationed at Savannah, Georgia. Actually, Linda was. I had gotten out of the Army, and her unit went out to the field, and they were out in tents as Andrew approached. So thankfully, it didn't come anywhere near Georgia. I mean, because
Well,
that would have been something, wipe out an entire unit out in tents in a hurricane.
yeah, that's not good at all.
Mm.
Talking about natural phenomena, have you heard of um and I don't know exactly the too detailed, but have you ever heard of the Bronze Age collapse?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't studied it.
So, um, throughout, I guess you'd say Egypt and the Levant and just the Mediterranean area, there was all these societies, the Egyptians and so on and this and that, the Greeks and this and that, and they were progressing, like on the archaeological front, they can see that they were progressing, and then all of a sudden, bam! It appears as if everything went to crap. Everything went like to the Stone Age,
Mhm,
and everything became just minimal and as if society had collapsed.
mhm,
And um, there's writings about it in Egypt where the sea people came,
mhm,
and there's confusion on, did the sea people attack? Was it migration? Was it a little bit of everything?
mhm.
And they overwhelmed the area and so on and so. But anyways, as far as catastrophes are concerned, there's all these what seems to be heat burned monuments melted, um, heated so bad that like granite and everything um, changes its shape or
Structure.
form or whatever. And I find that super interesting how these huge, like, in my mind I've been thinking, because this is ridiculous, you can't really in your so the one thing I thought is, well, what if these civilizations, there was some sort of, this is more towards the science fiction because I don't know how this would be possible. What if these other certain groups had certain technologies, which doesn't make sense because there's no, but, and that they had like some sort of weird laser beam or some sort of fire thing, or, but it's so, or was it a natural catastrophe, like,
Right.
something to that effect. But I find the whole thing interesting. It's still not explained, as far as I see. Or aliens, like Polly wants a crafter says. Um, I mean, all those things I don't. Con- Although they cross my mind because of all the science fiction movies we grew up on and this and that, but there's no real, thing to say. Hey, that
Well,
happened. Or
there are all kinds of theories about that. They've basically discounted any kind of a volcanic activity or something, right?
some people suggest, what if it? There's a lot of what ifs.
Right.
All they
Okay.
know is that society collapsed, and they do know that there was movement of people, and
Right.
then all of a sudden everything went like down the tubes. And but they and then they have all these destruction
Mhm.
sites, but they can't quite say, like, some people say it. Oh, it had to be, like, aliens. It had to be the aliens. They
Yeah.
came from the planet, this and that. And then some people say, what if it was some sort of asteroid? But the problem is, or some sort of volcanic, and it rained down. And um,
Well,
I don't know that anybody knows. Maybe, but there are suggestions out there.
the reason I ask is because, and maybe Jerry Brown has heard of this. Um, a little town called Copperole, Texas. There is a known meteorological phenomena called a heat burst. And in uh, shortly after midnight, so this is late at night, okay, a freak meteorological phenomenon known as a heat burst struck the little town of Copperole, Texas. it was a dying thunderstorm that just suddenly collapsed. All right. The temperature increased rapidly and peaked at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 60 degrees Celsius for um, the Celsius folks. Said that was
The
20.
Celsius people.
Yeah, that was 20 degrees above the official all-time high for the state of Texas and exceeded the highest official temperature ever recorded on Earth. 140 degrees. So there is precedent for something, and that was in 1960. So God knows what could happen, some sort of a meteorological event like that that could spawn further things, whether it be the buildings surrounding catching on fire or what have you. But they call it a heat burst. And it happened when this thunderstorm had basically been rained out and it collapsed. And they said it spawned 75-mile-an-hour wind gusts that were up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So
it could have been some sort of natural phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. But then again, when in doubt, aliens.
Well, but we don't know, other than the things that are left,
Mm-hmm.
and then people dig through that, and there's writings,
right?
But it's not sufficient to close a chapter and say for
That
sure
was it.
one thing. Yeah, but it is weird
Mm-hmm.
because it was a time when society collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
Advanced collapsed, kind of like the medieval era,
The Dark Ages, yeah.
when the Romans, that empire fell, little by little and here and there, but it just completely. And then medieval times, people were walking about looking at all these structures that their ancestors had done, and they didn't have that same technology. I mean,
yeah,
the economy, they may not have, all these factors,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a little collapse as well, or a big collapse.
And Jerry makes a good point here. The biggest thing is most of written history is fairly short. Even a few hundred years is not amazing. It could have been a meteor flying by close enough to shatter things, and it may never happen again. That's true. I mean, look at that meteor or that comet that came in Russia, then exploded near that town, and the damage that it caused. And that was a disintegrating comet, a meteor hitting. I mean, the planet gets pelted with meteors every day. Most of them fall harmlessly into the ocean because most of the surface is ocean. But still, the odds against it happening are, they're pretty astronomical, no pun intended, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that some sort of cataclysm like that happening.
Yeah.
There would be probably some sort of record of it, but who's to say,
Well, they as far as I know, they wrote about these people coming in,
Okay.
which a lot of people suggest were people from places like Sardinia and Greece and other parts of the Mediterranean, coming into the land of Egypt to, well, the specifics are unknown. They say, did they come in seeking refuge as opposed to attacking?
Yeah.
And then their society was overwhelmed, or was it that they were attacking and their society was overwhelmed, or was
Right.
it both? But what they do know is that it took society back then to slowly come back. It took them, some people in certain areas, 1,000 years. In other places, it took them very short because they were close to resources and
Right.
so, and they wrote and whatnot, so there is writings and all that,
Right.
but they can't say for sure.
Well, but the local accounts, the written records from there in the area make reference to the sea people. So it sounds like an
Mhm.
invading force.
It sounds like that to us.
Hmm. Yeah. So, well, what
But
can
you
you
know what I'm
say?
saying? Like it sounds like that,
Hmm.
but maybe they were migratory and overwhelmed their legit, their resources, or maybe not. Maybe it was both. I mean, but it
Yeah, that's
sounds
possible.
it's well, they've made all the suggestions. They said
Sure.
we don't know for sure. Was it a combination? Like they just you can't. I mean, as far as they know, they don't know the definite answer to that.
Hmm.
Right now.
Well,
But
we're on the subject of worldwide cataclysm or huge events or things of that nature. Um, I was watching something about Krakatoa. This has been a few months back. And by all accounts, the eruption of Krakatoa in the 1800s is still today considered to have been the first worldwide news event that everybody around the world eventually heard about it.
I've been known to Krakatoa too.
Yeah, especially when you're coming back from the bathroom in the middle of the night and you kick the bedpost and invent your own language, and the little purple mark never goes away. It's with you forever. But they and by the time researchers got there to the island, they found it was, like a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, they found that everything on these islands surrounding Krakatoa, everything was dead. There was one living thing that they found in the entire area.
Keith Richards.
Close. They found one spider.
Oh wow.
But all the vegetation, all the animals, all the insects, everything was gone. They found one living spider.
That spider must have been like, whew.
Oh, it was standing there. Ooh, hot. That's hot. Ooh, that's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
So that was the first recorded.
Well, they consider that to be the first worldwide, the first event to be reported worldwide, because it was in just about every newspaper of the age, all the way around the world. I mean,
Was that the 17 or 1800s?
that was the 1800s. Let me see when that was. Um, uh, Krakatoa eruption of 1883. It was the first event to be reported worldwide. Yes, there were, like, the American Civil War was reported on heavily here, and it may have made a couple of papers in Europe. But this was the first event that was basically worldwide that was reported on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was, 1882. And it continues erupting. I mean, that it erupted in 2020. That was the one that they have the footage of from the satellite, from the International Space Station, rather.
Hmm.
They have it just all of a sudden starting to smoke, and then boom. I mean, just melted holes in the clouds.
Well, I mean, these natural disasters can be, you know, catastrophic,
Mhm.
localized, and then beyond that, but worldwide events, um, that's the stuff of, like legends and whatnot.
Um, when we were stationed in Hawaii, um, oops, excuse me. When we were stationed in Hawaii, we would occasionally go over to the Big Island of Hawaii, and one of the things we tried to do was go up to Kilauea Crater. And Kilauea Crater is an active volcano, but there hadn't been a summit eruption since like the 1800s. And you can just drive up to the rim of this crater, park in the parking lot, walk around. There's a hotel right there that Mark Twain had visited and slept in, and the whole thing. And it was interesting as heck. And there is a volcanic observatory up there, the Jaeger Observatory. And we went over for one trip, and it was one of those cases of we got there, we got our hotel, went to put our stuff in the room, and then we were heading down to meet up with the other folks we were with to have some dinner. And we got in. I turned on the TV while I was waiting for her to do what she had to do. And I turned on the TV just in time to hear them say, well, a little bit of excitement on Kilauea Summit. We'll be back with more info on that after this break. And I thought, well, what the heck? And then we left, and I never heard the story. So the next day, we went up to the Kilauea crater, and we went into the visitor center. And I asked one of the rangers there, I said, I understand you guys had a little bit of excitement here last night. And he looked at me like I was from Mars and said, yeah, you could say that. And I said, well, I told him the story. I said, and I never heard what happened. What happened? He said, okay, basically it is a crater in the top of this mountain. And it's a giant lava plug that's about a mile across and about 3 miles long. And it's about 400 feet thick of solidified lava. He said that the volcano built up so much pressure that big, huge lava plug lifted up the thickness of 7 dimes. He says, so if you can imagine 7 dimes stacked on top of one another, a 1 mile wide, 3 mile long, 400-foot thick piece of rock lifted up. And alarms went off, and people are scrambling around. They just knew they were going to have a summit eruption. He said, we had about 2,000 people in the park at the time, and we didn't know where the hell anybody was. And everybody was panicking. He said, all of a sudden, down the side of the mountain at one vent, it shot out a geyser of lava, and the pressure was released, and everything calmed down, and all the alarms silenced and everything. He says, but there was about a half an hour of sheer panic up there.
Wow.
And I'm like, you mean we're standing like, I could throw a rock and hit it that close to that? And he says, yeah, this is an active volcano. This is not a safe place. You are here at your own risk and always have been. I'm like, okay, thank you very much.
That's insanity. Yeah.
Yeah. And Linda just added to that. She said, most of the summit that we saw there now no longer exists because there have been several summit eruptions of smaller scale than what they were fearing that day since then. I'll give you, for instance, we drove around the rim and parked in one parking lot and walked out and was looking down in the crater and what have you. That parking lot and that road is gone. It's down in the bottom of the volcano now. It's just poof, gone. So, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of damn nature, you scary kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, if land is going to move on you while you're watching TV or lava flowing through your living room.
Yeah, we don't do the lava thing here, but the land moving, that's, it's, I won't say it's an everyday thing, but it's common enough to where if it's not, oh, I don't know, Steve Nealon out there, he knows what I'm talking about. It would just say if it's not 4.5, it's not even worth rolling over for. Little tremblers like that last a couple seconds, people just go, oh, okay, nothing fell off the walls, we're good.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there has to be a place on Earth where none of that is a problem.
well, if there is, I can't name it. I mean, because you can run, but you can't hide. If it's not going to be an earthquake or a hurricane or a tornado, it's going to be a blizzard with sub-zero temperatures or unbearable heat. So I don't know of a perfect place
Yeah.
that's free from all natural disasters. Yeah, Steve said I slept through most under 5.0. So yeah, I mean, you know, a 4.0 would feel like your dog just jumped on the bed with you when you're sound asleep. It'd be like, okay, get comfortable and hurry up. Yeah.
Hold the fort. Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right. Excuse me. Yeah. Thankfully, the earthquakes that I have survived or lived through have all been fairly small, but not all of them are that way. Yeah. Linda makes a good point here. You have to choose your disaster, whatever you're most comfortable with. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, some people, hurricanes, no big deal. We have hurricanes go through here all the time, but they've never hit us. I mean, okay, they scare the crap out of me, you know. So Jerry over at Pollywogs Crafter says Northridge I surfed my bed. Yeah, lived in SoCal at the time. Yeah, Northridge was not a small quake. That was a big quake. So he says they dodge tornadoes there. See, Jerry's in Texas. He prefers tornadoes over earthquakes. Yeah. The thing that I find frightening about tornadoes is their unpredictability. Not that earthquakes are predictable, because they're just basically not. But you could have a tornado heading away from you, and suddenly that sucker swing around and come right back. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not much for that. See, David Portal Work says we have an earthquake fault line that runs up the eastern seaboard. That's right, you do. You have a few of them. There is also one right in the middle of the country, the New Madras Fault. And in fact, right there on the New Madras, which has changed the course of the Mississippi several times, that's where the most powerful earthquake in the continental United States happened. Long ago, before we were the United States. But they basically are relying on archaeological records for that, and just looking at different geology. Excuse me, geological archaeology. That's what I was trying to say. Linda says cousins from the Midwest got scared of earthquakes, so they moved to Kentucky. 6 months later, they got wiped out by a tornado. Go figure. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I take a pretty blasé attitude about earthquakes. They're not fun. They're pretty. The one thing that you think you can rely on is the ground is pretty stable until it isn't. And it's pretty unnerving, because when it's happening, you don't know, was that the main quake or was that a pre-tremor? You don't know, is a bigger one coming along, and you don't know, is it going to intensify? It may start out just a gentle shake, and then all of a sudden it's an 8.2. You just don't know. So very unnerving. But after it's over with, people go, oh man, that was nothing. Yeah, well, you wasn't saying that 10 seconds ago. But yeah, I don't know if there is the perfect place or the perfect safe place, because you're gonna have, okay, the New Madrid was 1811. I thought it was earlier than that. I thought that it was like in the 15 or 1600s. Okay. All right. So, and it did change the course of the Mississippi. Yes, that I knew, but I thought it was much earlier than 1811. So, man. Well, I hope he's okay. Hope nothing's going on. But yeah, let's see what's going on back here. Sudbury, Ontario gets minor earthquakes, and it's smack dab in the middle of the Canadian Shield. Yeah. And that's, I mean, if you've ever looked into or even just casually glanced at plate tectonics, what we've going on here is on the West Coast, you have the Pacific plate colliding with the North American plate, and they're both moving in opposite directions. So the North American plate is actually moving slightly north, and the Pacific plate is staying mostly still, but it slowly inches its way south. And they meet. A lot of folks have heard of the San Andreas Fault. That's where those two fault lines meet, or those two plates meet, rather. And the San Andreas Fault is not a it's not a subduction type fault where you have one plate trying to go underneath the other. You have two plates rubbing each other side to side. And there are areas in California where they have cut through hills to make highways, to build freeways through them, etc. Cajon Pass being one of them. Linda and Steve and probably Jerry know where that is. Cajon Pass is one of them. There is a certain spot along the interstate right there where the two plates actually meet, and you can stand there at that line right there at the fault, where you can take rock from one side and rock from the other side, and they're two completely different types of soil. It's just one of those weird little things. So see, David down in Georgia says we have a chance of earthquakes, tornadoes, and hurricanes here. So we really have the trifecta chance of a disaster. Yeah. Yeah, that you do. That you do. You guys also get flooding down there on occasion. So you've got a little more than a trifecta. What do they call that? The quad. I can't remember what they call that. Let's see here. Wow, Eli, hope you're okay. Hope you come back. Let's see. Steve from Harneo Media says, I was working in Northridge when that one hit. The house I was at had a full-size console TV moved across the room 20 feet at head height. Yeah. Yeah. Whoops. Jim Dockrell says, so if you build near the fault, every once in a while your neighbors across the street change, or you change. Most folks don't build that close to the fault. I mean, and let's be honest, this is you and me here. It's the insurance companies. Like, the insurance companies think it's going to be a different situation if you're a quarter of a mile away. I mean, if it's going to be that strong, it doesn't matter if you're on the fault or not. Insurance companies won't insure a house right there on it, is basically what it is. So most folks don't build right there that close. Doesn't mean they won't, just means that most of them don't.
I'm back.
Everything all right there?
Yeah, I had a little bit of heartburn, so I had to go get some anti-acid.
Okay. It's been a weird episode.
I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yeah. I guess you could say that. So
when things go weird.
I'll let you fill in for the next couple of minutes.
Everything that Mark said, and then some.
Yes.
All right, now we're back.
All right. Okay. Linda says, during the Kilauea lava flow, I was talking about it with a friend. She said she couldn't understand why anybody would live there. I said, well, he lives where wildfires are common. Yeah, that is true. We do have that thread out here too of wildfires, and there are a few fires that are burning around us, I guess. Probably the closest, and I know Linda will fact check me on this, I think probably the closest is about 50 miles away from us now. So we're safe, we're fine, but I still have friends getting a hold of me. You guys okay for the fires? Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Everything's great. Okay. All right. Yeah. She said she was talking about it with a friend. He said he couldn't understand why anyone would live there. I said, well, he lives where wildfires are common. He thought they were still crazy. And a year later, he got burned out by the Car Fire, which was a big wildfire there down in Northern California. So, man.
I remember that what Portal is saying because he showed us on video.
Yes, a tornado hit one of his buildings on April 5th, then another on April 6th hit the same building. Yeah. Yeah. Just making sure that job was done, I guess. So, man. Well,
Yet natural disasters, I mean, we can't get away from them unless we're warned ahead of time. So, and
well,
even then,
what I'm seeing in all of this is we have a lot of people that have stories. Is what I'm getting out of this is you can run, but you can't hide. And it's kind of like Linda said, back up here, you basically pick your disaster and live with whatever you're most comfortable with. There it is. You have to choose your disaster, whatever you're most comfortable with. So if you're fine with hurricanes, that's where you go. If you're fine with earthquakes, that's where you go. So,
how about the worst area for rainbows and cool summers?
well, the worst area I could think of for rainbows is the desert because it doesn't rain there often enough to make a rainbow.
Or the place where it's excessive, rainbows are excessive and the summers are cool. That's is there a place like that?
We were pretty close to it in Hawaii, but we still had the threat of volcanoes, earthquakes, and hurricanes. I
And
mean,
there's yogurt stands everywhere.
shave ice,
Yeah.
snow cones, whatever you want to call them. Let's see here. Les says, "What about the fire?" And went through Phoenix, Oregon. Yeah, down south of us 2 years ago. There were two cities just to the south of us that burned through, destroyed over half of both of those two little towns, and they're still cleaning up from that. A lot of places have rebuilt, and some have rebuilt, some are rebuilding, but a lot of people were displaced by that, and they just left the valley and are never coming back. They took the insurance money and left, and other people are cleaning that up. And
Yeah.
Lord knows what's going to happen from there. Of course, a lot of that area was also rental housing. So,
They just took off and that's
yeah,
it.
they just left and won't be back. So,
They all moved to San Francisco.
if they can afford it, I mean, go for it. So, Jim Dockrell says it's cool here. Furnace was running in July. Yeah, but you're also there. You're also there where it's not cool in the winter. It's friggin' cold. So,
Yeah.
we measure snow in inches. You guys measure snow in feet. Excuse me. You guys measure snow in meters. So, no thanks. So, let's see. David says, I have 3 buildings side by side, but only that building got damaged. The other 2 didn't get touched. Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing of what I mean by unpredictable about tornadoes. You don't know what the heck's going to happen. I mean, you'd be sitting there just fine, and all of a sudden a 2x4 comes through the middle of the living room.
That's not good.
No. I don't know. If you look at, I don't know, you look at pictures online or what have you. I've seen photos of pieces of straw, like hay, stuck in fence boards, sometimes poked through fence boards. Or you have 2x4s through concrete block walls and things like that. I mean, something gets picked up by 140, 160 mile an hour wind, it's going to do some damage when it stops.
Heck yeah.
So, and Lord knows what it's going to take with it along its way. So, yeah, minus 40 in the winter. Had 5 feet of snow last year along the driveway. You do know you're free to go, right, Jim? You don't have to live there. Yeah, I don't know. No thanks.
The Ice Age.
Yeah, I don't want to be dealing with 5 feet of snow and negative 40. No, sorry. And the reason Jim Dockrell says negative 40 and didn't clarify whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius is because negative 40 is the one place where Fahrenheit and Celsius meet. So negative 40 Celsius and negative 40 Fahrenheit are the same. So, yeah, no thanks. No thanks.
So I think we should, after this, land the plane because my belly is
Okay.
not doing good.
Okay, well, it's a evening of thunderstorms from one end or the other, so we'll go ahead and call it a good night. You want to do it?
Well, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, I need some antacids because that's not
Okay.
working for me. So we go live every Tuesday, 6:30 West Coast, 9:30 East Coast, and we're here on YouTube, Trampled Underfoot podcast on YouTube. We also have a website, trampledunderfootpodcast.com. You can catch our past episodes over there by pressing the Wayback Machine button. We're also on Facebook, Trampled Underfoot Podcast on Facebook, and we're sponsored by
Harneo Media, your web source for creating or increasing your web presence. You want to start a web store, you want to develop merch, t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs. Steve Nealon is your man. You will get personalized service and prices like you would not believe. That's Steve Nealon over at Harneo Media, HARNEAL media.com, sponsor of trampledunderfootpodcast.com.
All right. All right. I'm going to get some good antacids because I don't know if you've ever had heartburn, but it sits uncomfortable and you're like, nothing you do. I'm here shifting and stuff and it's just not working for me.
Okay.
So, folks, we'll catch you next time. It was a little bit of a weird episode, but what the heck, you know?
Embrace the weird.
We'll catch you next time. Have a safe one. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Later.
You.
Peace.